7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2. Go! Welcome back to another episode of For Time with Myriad. I feel like it's been ages since you and I have been sitting here together. It's been a couple weeks.
It's probably been like 3 weeks. We've seen each other since then, but
Correct.
we haven't done a pod together.
Correct. We've been having other guests join us as we worked ourselves through. Today we are going to jump right into a SUPERMEET.
Yeah.
SUPERMEET.
It feels like a superhero
Yes.
a little bit.
What is SUPERMEET? Why SUPERMEET? How to successfully complete SUPERMEET? All of those things we're going to go through today. So I'm going to start with SUPERMEET is a combination of 6 movements. The idea is you have the CrossFit total, which is?
It is a deadlift, back squat, and strict press. It is a benchmark workout,
Correct.
like kind of quintessential classic CrossFit.
And when you say it is those movements, it is a 1 rep max.
1 rep max, yes.
Or
you are getting as heavy as you can.
In each of those. And then it's also
an Olympic total.
Which
is that
is?
what you meant? Oh, a snatch and a clean and jerk.
See, we're trying to riff off each other here. We're getting back to our mojo. So we'll see.
So there's 5 movements.
Yes. And then the 6th movement is?
A weighted pull-up.
A weighted pull-up. And so the idea of the SUPERMEET goes all the way back to 2009. Another CrossFit gym owner started this. And it's been super successful for their gym, and now it's kind of blossomed out to other gyms across the country, actually across the world. And this is our first opportunity to do it here. I shouldn't say first opportunity, but this is us doing it for the first time, which we hope to be an annual event in December. Really for our members, it works for a couple different reasons, but the one reason I'm mostly excited is because it's at the end of the year, which allows people to set PRs or have an opportunity or a platform to hit 1 rep maxes to really kind of set them up for success for the following year.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
I think that, a couple things. One, having goals is super helpful. It helps people stay accountable. It helps keep you going. And that's an area that we often see people set goals in, is how much weight they're lifting. It's a good indicator of, are you getting stronger? For the Olympic lifts especially, it's a good indicator of like, is my technique improving? So it's a really great way to test yourself and set goals so you have some motivation and inspiration going forward. That's some of the reason. I also think like there is kind of a culture, I feel like, shifting away from New Year's resolutions, but I do think that there is value in when something is beginning, even though it is just another day, like any other day. January 1st and December 31st aren't all that different. There is a natural kind of feeling of renewal and fresh start at the new year. So I like it for that reason of, why not use the general human psychology of like when a new thing is starting, whether it's a new year, a new month, a new job, whatever's new for you, use that motivation, that little opportunity to your advantage.
Yeah, totally. And within, what else is super neat about the SUPERMEET is within our ecosystem of Myriad Health and Fitness, and the fitness part of that, we have 3 core fitness programs. We have CrossFit, we have boot camp, and we have weightlifting.
Yeah.
What's really neat about this specific event is this is available and can be available to every single one of those members. Because if you're a weightlifter, you're already squatting, you're already clean and jerking, you're already snatching.
They just did a weightlifting meet,
so
now they're just adding a few more movements.
Exactly. And if you're a CrossFitter, we do all these movements, all 6 of these movements all the time in our GPP, General Physical Preparedness programming. So this isn't relatively new. And believe it or not, in boot camp, you do a lot of these things too, right?
Yeah, totally. You're doing a lot of these movements. Now, what might be different is the
Correct.
object that you are using.
Yep.
So you may not back squat with a barbell, but you goblet squat with a kettlebell, a dumbbell, a med ball all the time. So it is a kind of a cool opportunity to have those members see how heavy they can get in those objects, or maybe you play around with a barbell.
Yes, so with that being said, on Saturday, December 16th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the flow of SUPERMEET looks like this. You have 4 hours in that time frame, you as an athlete have 2 hours to max out those lifts. It can look like a lot of different things within that range. So maybe you spend 30 minutes on a deadlift, maybe you spend 5 minutes on your pull-up, maybe you spend 40 minutes on your snatch, but you have 2 hours essentially to achieve a 1 rep max in each of those. Not all of our coaches, a lot of our coaches are going to be there and be available to direct you, assist you, work with you. I'm personally going to make myself available from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. for anyone who is unfamiliar with the setup, with achieving 1 rep maxes, with the movements. So essentially a beginner session from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. to where we can work through how to do a snatch, how to do a clean and jerk, or how to do it with a dumbbell, how to do it with a kettlebell, and that way we can work ourselves heavier and achieve and set some baselines for years moving forward.
Cool.
How does that feel to you?
That feels cool. I think I have a few follow-up questions, so just to help other people understand. If I'm not a beginner, can I come at 10 a.m.?
Yes.
So I can come whenever.
You can come whenever. So if you're not a beginner, you've been doing weightlifting, you've been doing CrossFit. Essentially, you can come anytime between 10 and noon to start because you need to be done by 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And this is a competition. It is friendly. But again, so 10 to 2, 4-hour range, but then you have 2 hours. So if you want to come at 1 o'clock, that only gives you
an hour.
1 hour.
10 minutes per movement.
1 hour to achieve all these movements and get a 1 rep max. So good question.
Cool.
Give me some more FAQs.
What if I am a boot camper and I've never done a 1 rep max before? Like, what does 1 rep max mean?
Yes, so 1 rep max is you taking a movement, let's call it a back squat, and you warm yourself up. You start doing putting on some weights, successful reps, so there's gonna be standards on each rep. Back squat is getting below parallel, standing all the way up top tall at the squat for 1 rep. That would equal a successful rep. You would do some warm-ups typically anywhere, a couple sets of 5, maybe a couple sets of 3. Eventually get yourself to where you're doing 1 at a time because it's so heavy that you can only do 1 at a time. But if you do 1 and you successfully achieve that lift, then maybe you add on a little bit more weight, and then you do 1 more. And then if you get that one, you're like, ooh, I still have some in the tank. And then you do 1 more. And you keep doing that. It's kind of like a lot of guessing and checking, a lot of trial and error in the 1 rep max world. But eventually, having done this for 15 years, you know your game plan. Like you're going to be able to walk into this event with your eyes closed and know exactly what you're doing.
I don't know.
but that's the beauty of this. Over time, you become more familiar with the sequence of a 1 rep max. So this is a great opportunity to learn what that looks like and learn what reaching your 1 rep max or reaching your threshold looks like for some of these heavier lifts.
Yeah, what I like about this event is there isn't a lot of structure. So for those of you who it is maybe newer to you or it's been a minute since you found a max, there isn't you only have 10 minutes for this movement, or you only have, sometimes when we do heavy singles in class, you have 7 sets. And if you hit the 7th one and have gas in the tank still, you maybe don't have the opportunity to go for more. Whereas with this setup, there isn't a cutoff of, you've done your 7, move on. Yeah. You've got that opportunity to go again, which I really like.
Yeah. So. And you can grab a friend, grab a buddy, grab a couple. Maybe it's 3 or 4 people, and you can work together. I think that's another cool part of this is if you know someone who's relatively same skill level as you or going to lift the same weight, work with them so you guys can cheer each other on and push each other. That's another cool aspect of this as you work yourself through. The goal is to have different stations. So if we're doing the snatch and clean and jerk, that's going to be happening on the weightlifting programs. If you're doing a 1 rep max pull-up, it's obviously going to be by the pull-up rig. Some of the deadlift stuff will be out in the open area. So it's going to be chaos, but it's going to be organized chaos.
No, I don't like that. I like calling it organized.
Organized.
There's going to be 6 stations.
Yes. Yeah. What other pieces would you like to add to the puzzle?
I think that it is important for people to know, you might have some movements that are really about testing your limits, and some might be more about technique, probably speaking more to the Olympic lifts. So just understanding that for those movements, we're probably more limited by our technique in the snatch and clean and jerk than we are in our strength, and being okay with that.
We know we're done, but we'll keep going.
I think just being okay with that, especially if you're someone who's newer to 1 rep maxing, that can feel weird and confusing to be like, well, it doesn't feel that heavy, but I've added like 5 pounds to the bar, and all of a sudden it feels like I accidentally added 1,000,000 pounds when it was only 5. So just recognizing that with some of those more complicated movements, the snatch and clean and jerk, you're going to run into more technical roadblocks than strength roadblocks as you're learning them.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, safety is always going to be the utmost importance, and that's why we're going to have coaches floating around throughout the entire session. Coaches are also going to be lifting during this too, so there's going to be some player coaching going on. There's going to be some actual coaches like just being there, and if we see a lift that's bad or looks like it's hurting, and we just say, nope, you're done with that, trust the coach. That's why we're here from the paid professional aspect.
Yeah, we want people to get to be able to lift heavy, but also be safe and have fun. All right.
Done. We'll have more on SUPERMEET as it comes up. We'll have some videos coming out too. But thank you. And we're excited. I'm pumped.
Yes. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Whoop, whoop.
Beep, boop.